Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we've got Ryan Florence. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. My Wi-Fi is doing a lot worse than I am today, but
All right, so we're all just gonna hope as hard as we can that we don't have any Wi-Fi issues today. But so it's an honor for me to have you on the show. You've been in the community for forever. I've been following your work for as long as I've been a part of the community. So thank you for joining us today. But for folks who aren't familiar with your work, do you want to give us a little bit of a background?
sure. Most people probably know me from React Router. Started that with my business partner, Michael Jackson. And he and I started a training business together years ago, 6 years ago, React training, and ran around teaching people React because at our jobs before that, we just loved it. Before that, I worked at a company called Instructure on a learning management system called Canvas. It's an open source thing and huge. It's in the United States, it's like, I think, number 16 most visited website.
Dang.
Especially with the pandemic and all the kids' classes going online, all that kind of stuff. So I got a lot of experience there with Ruby on Rails, did a ton of JavaScript there. Just an idea of the scope of that project. We had in Rails, you can type rake routes, and that thing had over 2,000 routes. So it was enormous app. And that's kind of where I'm coming at from JavaScript and frameworks and all that kind of stuff. Before that, I did a lot of PHP and MooTools and jQuery stuff. I built a router that listened to hash change like 13 years ago or something. This is back when for Internet Explorer to work, you actually had to like put an iframe on the page and then like send the URL to that iframe and then listen for when they click back over there and then bubble it up to where you're at. Anyway, really funny stuff. So that's kind of my background. Fell in love with programming back when PHP was just so simple. You threw a file on your server. You could go talk to the database. You could echo out some HTML. You could put a script tag at the bottom and then bring it to life with MooTools or jQuery. And that's what all my apps looked like. At the top, I had and you'll see this in Remix. It's the same thing now. In PHP, at the very top, I would go to the database and get my data.
Right.
The center of the file was all my HTML, and I'd echo it all out. And then the bottom of the file, I had a script tag, and that's when I'd like bring in MooTools and go and select the elements that were up in the HTML and bring them to life. Right. With form elements and all that kind of stuff.
No, I love the kind of lineage that comes in there too, because when you start thinking about the way that we got to where we are on the web, there is a logical path you can trace backward to where, you know, we still, if you look at like what most single page apps look like, it is still a div and then there's a script tag below it, and so we just like abstracted that all away with the tooling.
Well, even your component though sometimes is like, here's all my hooks that go and fetch data. Here's all my loading states that like I don't really like, I just have to do those. And then here's the actual like body of the component that I want to render. But it's not different than the old PHP stuff, really.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like we go in circles and we decide that like, well, this thing is too complicated. Let's do this thing. It's like, oh wait, we did that a long time ago. Why did we stop doing that?
Well, and if you lived through it, like, you know exactly why we did it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of SSG these days. But I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's bad. And I know exactly why we started doing it. Our servers were slow. Our servers were slow. And so it's like, I don't want somebody in Hong Kong to have to go and hit my origin server in LA East to get data and come back. You know what? It's mostly static. Let's pre-render it and chuck it out across the whole network and stick that file right next to the person. Right. So like, you can trace it back. All the way. And I kind of lived through all of those things. I started doing web development before JavaScript was invented, before CSS was invented. We styled everything with a font tag, like you said, font family. And like you'd say, we used Georgia and Verdana. Those were like the cool fonts. Those were the Inter, right? So Verdana was Inter, and Georgia, I don't know what would.
Is there a trendy serif font right now? Like, it's still Georgia, right?
Yeah. Lobster. No, that's like 2.0.
But no, I think I do kind of, I love that, and what I think is interesting is that it does kind of cast a light on the fact that, you know, none of these solutions are right or wrong. They're just better tools for different jobs, right? And I think that that's always you know, when you have a unique set of challenges, you create a tool to solve that unique set of challenges. And the reason that it feels like we go in circles is because the landscape shifts. You know, the reason that we didn't keep doing like static sites was because it was way too hard to manage HTML in the beginning. You had to copy paste the HTML between every single page on your site. And then we did PHP because that made that easier to manage. And then we figured out that we could compile, and that got rid of some of the complexity with PHP. And now we've got edge servers, and so we don't need like all of the speed advantages that SSG necessarily gives us. And so there's so many interesting things that kind of build on the archaeology of how we get to a certain set of decisions.
And you know, people say it's circles. It's a spiral upward, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like a circle if you're just looking at it from the top.
Right.
But like if you change your perspective and come down 90 degrees, you'll see that it's a circle that's actually going up. And I also like to talk about the Mona Lisa, right? The Mona Lisa was the greatest work of art at the time that we know of. But it wasn't the work of a single artist. Mm-hmm. That, like, yeah, one person actually painted it, but everybody around the Mona Lisa was pushing art forward, and they wouldn't have gotten the Mona Lisa without all the other artists.
Right.
And so, you know, I think Next.js is great. I think Gatsby is great. I think they've got some really cool ideas. And as we built Remix a couple of times, we peeked into the source of Next.js to see, well, how'd they solve this problem we're just running into? Remix for us is really just like how we want to build websites.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's an excellent segue, because you know, obviously the goal of today is to talk about Remix. So maybe we can start with some context setting, which is, you know, we talked about you know, it's how you want to build websites, but specifically kind of what is the core value prop of Remix? Why build another framework?
I saw someone tweet, Remix looks like JavaScript for boomers. That seems good.
Is that an insult or a compliment? I don't even know.
I liked it. I think technically I'm an elder millennial, so I'll take it. What is the value prop of Remix? It's really hard, because if you talk to Michael, you'll get a different answer than if you talk to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been partners we're closing in on a decade, it seems like. And we're both full stack developers. But on the ends, we have I don't know which way to go on the camera. Here we go. There we go. Oh, closer. The lag is killing me. On the ends, we're a little bit different. Right. We share a whole bunch of experience and expertise and interest in the middle of it. But on the ends, we're a little different. And I think that made a great combination when we built Remix together. And we actually just sat it was like this, actually. I didn't even type anything. Michael did all of it, just like you're going to do today. And we just paired for 6 months, building it together, like 100% pairing. So it's really so if you ask Michael, it's, I think the biggest thing we're excited about on that end of the spectrum is deploying to the edge. You know, we do SSG to get really good speed. The main value prop of SSG is not the pre-rendering. Like React takes 8 milliseconds to render a big document. Like that's not expensive. The expensive part is going to your database, fetching those resources, maybe processing it into, like, you got Markdown, you got to turn it into HTML. There's a few things after you get the data that might be slow. But the point is, let's do anything that's expensive and stick it at the edge next to the users. So when they come in and request that document, it's just, you know, coming from memory in a CDN or from a file system, and then just send it over the network.
Yeah.
we built Remix with all distributed web infrastructures got really good before. Kind of the only way to do this was static files to distribute your app across the globe. But we've got AWS Lambda at edge. We've got Dino deploy, which is at the edge. We've got Cloudflare Workers, which runs code at the edge, and Remix already runs on Cloudflare Workers. And one of our new users just got it working on AWS Lambda at edge also.
Nice.
So you can push your code, push your app, like your actual app code, across the globe next to the users. And now you don't have to sacrifice freshness for speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of on the back end. That's what we're really excited about. In the middle, what's really cool is you get to use all web technology on the server and the client. So it's really exciting as a front-end developer. We kind of joke that one of our main goals is to trick front-end developers into being full-stack developers without quite realizing it. Like if you can write a Gatsby node file, right? If you can write a Gatsby node file that goes off to Sanity IO and pulls down data and then hand that to Gatsby, like that is back-end code. You're a full-stack developer if you know how to write that.
Right.
And in Remix, instead of doing that in the build step, you can actually do that stuff in your app. But it's not different code. It's just when you do it.
Right.
And so there's a lot of fun stuff in the middle to kind of like trick, it goes the other way too. This is the part that I'm really excited about, is that it tricks back-end developers into becoming front-end developers. So you can just not have JavaScript in Remix at all and use our data abstractions, use our component abstractions, get React on the server for composability, and just kick out HTML pages like it's a Rails app and no JavaScript. What's really cool to me, this is the part that I'm most excited about, is there's this like wall in when I did Rails and even PHP, where it's like, okay, my backend framework just sent some HTML. Now what? Like, I need to build a really interactive form. I need to build an autocomplete. I need to do other stuff with what's on the page. And there's just this cliff. And then you kind of have to like build the app a second time over in the browser.
Right.
In fact, in a Rails app I worked on, we'd render one extra element whenever we had a list and hide it. And then our JavaScript would grab the outer HTML of that thing and use it as our template. So just like weird things like that.
Right.
So Remix just makes this completely seamless. You can just think of it as a backend web framework that magically hydrates into a React app in the browser.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a good way of looking at it. Like, and I think that, you mentioned that you used to build in PHP, and, the promise of PHP was that, right? You got to just put whatever you needed in the page with the HTML that was going to get shipped to the browser, and you could do some dynamic stuff. And, but as you said, you'd hit this cliff because when you got to the browser, you were just 100% on your own. And so I'm really excited to see how this works. And honestly, at this point, maybe the best thing to do is just start actually looking at it. So why don't we switch over into pair programming view here? And I will start by just doing a quick shout out. This show, like all shows, is being live captioned. So we've got Rachel here with us today from White Coat Captioning, making this show more accessible. So if you need that, that's on the homepage. That's made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, all kicking in to make the show more accessible to more people. It means a lot to me. And we are talking today about Remix. So if you haven't looked at it yet, here it is on the interwebs. You can go check this out. Also, just a quick shout out to you, I guess, because this is such a cool setup where as you scroll down this page, you get cool things like this. Like just fun. It's a fun website that's a good explainer page. And if you don't already follow Ryan, go give him a follow on the old interwebs. And with that, I've reached the extent of my knowledge. I actually, in knowing that we were going to do this stream, like we've been talking about this for a while, right? And so I backed Remix. I bought a license back right when you first released it. And then we were going to do a stream, and then we were like, oh wait, let's wait, because I knew, we knew that you were eventually going to do, you're going to open source it, which is really exciting that it's now open source. Yeah. But I kept waiting. So I've actually never used Remix specifically because I wanted to ask you all the beginner questions. So today's a big day for me. I've been waiting.
Well, you'll get the guided tour. Let's just hope we don't have any bugs in our last release.
I'm
gonna
ready.
Screw us up.
Okay, so if I, as I am coming into this completely new, written a lot of React, written some PHP in the past, what's my first step? Like, what should I do to get up and running with a Remix project?
Oh, so I need to add code.
Oh, who's this?
I should have warned you. The chat can make all sorts of sound effects, so they'll mess with us as we go.
That's going to slow down the show because I'm easily distracted.
Keep that in mind, chat, if you want to stay focused.
That's honestly why I like working from home. It's not because I don't like interruptions. It's that I interrupt everybody. All right, go click on docs, actually. That'd probably be the best thing to do.
Okay.
Click the right there.
All right.
And then, yeah, getting started. So right there, we say we strongly encourage you to do one of the tutorials. So honestly, I'd probably do that quick start if I was somebody else, but me and you are going to do something a little different today. Oh no, did my camera do that thing where it stops? I think it stopped. My camera's ridiculous. I'm probably like dancing. All right, here's my other camera. It's going to look gross. Sorry.
Camera 2.
Yeah, camera 2. Okay. Yeah, so if I was somebody else, do the quick start. You build a funny little markdown blog, and it's just nice and quick, introduces you to a lot of the different APIs in Remix. Yeah, it's all little tutorial. You should be done with that thing in like, I don't know, 15, maybe 30 minutes, and that's it. And then after you're done with that, you can go to the Jokes app deep dive. And this is going to overwhelm you if you've only done front end stuff, like build heavy front end things.
Oh yeah, we're setting up a database and everything.
Yeah, so like get ready to dig in because you're a full stack developer in Remix.
Right.
So it sets up a SQLite database. It could be Postgres if you'd rather. And then yeah, you're writing to the database, deploying the thing. It's I think Kent C. Dodds works with us now, and he did a live stream, and it took him 6 hours.
Yeah, I think I saw that stream go live. Again, I didn't watch it because I was like, no, I'm going in with no knowledge.
So this one, like, buckle up and get ready to go. But you're gonna kind of see what it feels like to build the whole app. And this is one of those things, like, there's that wall that I was talking about, and a lot of modern front end development has solidified that wall, and it's like, we've got the team over here that builds the backend API, and we've got the team over here that does the front end thing. And both teams think the other team is a bunch of geniuses. And they both are. They're both great at what they do. But you don't have to have that wall in Remix. You can if you want. You can build an API and consume it with Remix. But Remix lets you do both things in the same file, as we'll see. So yeah, I guess let's go back and just copy and paste that thing right there. There we go.
All right. Now, do I need to create a folder first, or is this going to create one for me?
Just do that and follow the prompts. It'll ask you where you want it to go.
Okay, so we're installing. I like that. Okay, so we're going to call this one Let's Learn Remix. And all right,
you want to do Netlify since that's where you work?
Let's do it. I know enough TypeScript to get myself in trouble, but do you want me to do TypeScript or JavaScript?
This is your project. You do.
Okay, I'm gonna do JavaScript simply because I will have to ask you fewer questions as we go.
maybe, because now we're not gonna get the types that tell us what we're supposed to do.
Oh crap. Okay, that actually makes me want to go back and do it as TypeScript.
We'll be all right.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if Sanity's API supports TypeScript out of the box, so I don't want to be typing all of their stuff.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know enough about it, so we'll go without the safety and hopefully that'll give us some speed.
All right. So, what is the first thing you ever do when you open up a new project?
I immediately start peeking at what do we got going on?
Everyone goes to the
here?
package JSON, right?
Yeah.
What about the file that says README?
Never read me. What's that for?
So, first tip. If a file says README,
Oh, I walked right into that, didn't I?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rename it to like readme underscore PLZ or like PLZ underscore readme.
Readme, no, actually readme dot final dot
Yeah,
v2.
yeah. People are like, how do I deploy Remix to Vercel, or how do I deploy Remix to Netlify? And it's like, did you look at the README? No.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So here we go. We're gonna do. Let's get this deployed like in the first.
Let's do it.
Minute of this.
Oh boy, we hit a corgi stampede already. People are really out to distract you today. All right.
Oh boy.
So here we go.
I'm never coming on this again.
Okay, so here's our project. I just initialized the project to give us an empty folder. So then I will. I've got the Netlify CLI, so I will run Netlify init. Let me put
what's the README say?
The README
says, I don't know how solid our integration is yet.
So it says install the CLI.
You need to log in init. All right, cool.
Right. So I am
actually,
logged
we have
in.
a PR. We have a PR from someone at Netlify who has decreased the number of steps here. We just haven't released.
Yeah. So the I think that was
this will be easier
Kane,
next week.
And he's the Netlify team is working hard to try to remove any friction. We want it to be like a zero config deploy. So I think we've got that mostly working. We're just gonna.
All right.
So this will get better with time. So I'm going to Netlify init.
So the reason that it's a little bit more complex is because Remix isn't a bunch of static files. It's actually going to be running in a Lambda. Like when a URL comes, we actually run a function instead of just send a built file. And then this next one on line 27, that's the critical thing where nothing will work if you don't.
So I just realized I have to got to actually get this up on GitHub before I do it. So I'm going to use the GitHub CLI.
No, we're going to be. I think we're just going to deploy manually.
Oh, we're going to deploy manually.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we're not there yet with Netlify, but I think that PR gets us there.
Got it. Okay, so I will create and deploy the site manually. Put it on my team here. We're going to call this Let's Learn Remix. Okay, so I have created the site.
All right, so now go over to the README, step 4.
All right, so we can Netlify env set AWS Lambda JS.
So this is a lot of people think that who've been doing JavaScript and React the last few years, the environment variables are just for your build. Those are actually not environment variables at all. Those are build variables that like go into your code that ends up on the public. Like someone goes to your website, they're going to see those secrets and environment variables in your code. Right. Since Remix is actually running on a server, what we're doing here is we're telling, I guess AWS, but we're telling Netlify we want to run on Node version 14. But this env set thing is not just about setting our Node runtime. You can put your private Stripe secret there. You can put your Sanity IO token, like anything that you need to interact with different APIs that are secrets you don't want anyone else to know about. That every server like Netlify has a way to do this. And so here's a secret. It doesn't go in your bundle. It doesn't go in your JavaScript code that goes in the browser. Stays on the server. Yeah, and this is so in Netlify's case, we're using serverless. If you were deploying this on another platform, you might be using serverless. You might be using a server. But the general idea is like client-side code gets bundled or not, and then sent to the browser, so you can inspect, you can view source. Like we all saw that issue with there was that government site that had like loaded all of the data and then like put it in a JSON blob, and if you viewed source, you could see people's social security numbers and stuff. And that's because somebody wasn't thinking about the client side versus the server side. If you have a serverless or a server, no secrets, like none of those environment variables are there unless you explicitly return them. Yeah, and we're bumping into, like I was saying, we're like tricking people into becoming backend developers with Remix. And this is a question we keep getting over and over. Is like, hey, how do I get an environment variable into my browser bundles? And we're like, that's not an environment variable. right. Okay, so I've set the environment there. And then we've got. So now let's skip development over in the README and let's go all the way down to deploy. We just want to let's get this thing going. Okay. npm run build. npm run build. Good. Then we can. Hang on. Do you see that? I do see that. You're live streaming, and you just built your front end app in 350 milliseconds. Yeah, that's pretty slick.
What are you using under the hood for that? Is this Vite or something?
ES build.
ES build, nice. Yeah, just so fast.
Yeah. Fully code split, all sorts of great stuff. So amazing. Yeah. All right, so Netlify deploy. Cross your fingers.
Deploy. I'm gonna. You know what? YOLO. Let's straight to prod.
You know, Netlify is super fast. Netlify is probably the fastest. Like you type the deploy thing in the terminal. I think that's the fastest one of everything.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that. Here we are.
We're live. We just took a remix site live. That is slick. That's nice. Okay. All right.
Click
so
on,
who knew, everybody? The README. You should just read those. You get things right on the internet.
4 steps. 4 steps and you're in production.
All right. So we've done that.
Let's go click around over there.
Yeah, let's do it. Kicks. Okay. So we've got
we got these demos in the app. So that's all external. So the demos in the app thing on the right. Yeah, go to actions. This is cool. What's more useful when it's broken?
Oh, that's I don't know.
JavaScript. I'm just kidding. That's not it. But go ahead and submit it. Sorry, it's not right. Okay, do you see how fast that was?
That was very fast.
So that's actually all happening on the server and not in the browser. So open up your network tab, and let's watch what Remix is doing under the hood.
Okay, let's put this over here. Get this network tab up, and I don't even know.
Go get rid of the previews or whatever. Click the gear in the top right of your network tab, and then show overview. Yeah, get rid of overview right there so we don't.
Got it. Yep. Okay. Oh wait, don't close the whole thing. What am I doing? Close the gear. That's what I was trying to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's our network tab. So I've got this, and I'm gonna say, what do you think, chat? The seal to my package.
Let's do one that we still don't get right.
Okay. Chris says my heart.
My heart. Okay. Look at the network. First thing, you don't have a type on there. Right click up on name, and let's get a new column in there. Right click on any of those table headers. And do method above status.
There we
post.
Go.
So Remix made a post to your server. Click on that post right there, and let's look at the payload. So you sent some form data, my heart.
Right.
So you've done this in React where you keep all the state on your form and what did they type, and then when they hit submit, you do form on submit, event prevent default, and then you do a fetch, right, with this information. Remix does all that for you. We can look at the code in a second. But it sent us, actually, you know what? Let's go over to the code and let's follow what the code is doing at this point.
Yeah.
So open up actions inside of app. Yeah, demos. So we put them all in demo so it's easy to delete.
Got it.
Scroll down to the body of the component. We're going to see an export default right here. Okay, actions so demo.
Default.
Okay, so here's the UI. Scroll down to the, here we go. There we go. That's the form we just submit, right?
Okay, so here's our form.
Form method equals post.
Got it.
Look at our input there. We got a button down on line 67. Now scroll back up in the component. Like, where's everything else?
Let's see.
Where's the state?
Answer.
Where's the form on submit?
Use action data. Is that?
So Remix. Actually, you know what? Let's go do something else. Let's go do something else for fun. Okay, go back over to let's go back over to the Chrome window.
Okay. Oops.
And do Shift Command P over in the console, over in the DevTools, and type disable. We're going to disable JavaScript. Yeah, hit it. Click that one. All right, now reload this page. Okay, look at that. All red. No JavaScript on the page, right?
Okay. But still here. Look at this page.
Yeah, you're still there. Drop an answer in there.
All right, what else you got, chat? The seal to my package of cookies. That I agree with that one. That is correct, actually.
Okay. You guys are just having fun, and I'm like, I want to talk about Remix. Check out actions. Doesn't this look strangely familiar? Isn't this what our network tab looked like last time?
Yeah, it looks like it did exactly what we wanted.
That just worked.
Okay, go to the payload up there in the tabs. FormData, it's exact same everything. So a lot of developers in the last few years who started in the last few years, they don't know that forms already know how to serialize themselves and to post with a fetch, but it's really just what the browser does, to post to that server and say, all right, here's the form data. So forms already know how to do this. When we enable JavaScript on this page, Remix emulates what the browser does here. And even our little action data right there. See that? Sorry, the seal to my package of cookies is not right. Even that part worked. So let's go back to the code and kind of trace how this all happens.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. We've got our answer ref. We've got the use action data, which we'll have to look at what that means.
Yeah. So that answer ref stuff, that's all progressive enhancement, meaning like there was a little bit different user experience without JavaScript. Without JavaScript, we lost focus of the input tab, right? And we couldn't just like send another answer really quick.
Right.
With JavaScript, we select that thing, and so you can just send another answer really quickly.
Yeah.
But the core feature is there. So any of that React stuff you see there, that's just progressive enhancement. It doesn't really matter for the core feature.
But it is still getting, like, we've got some server-side rendering happening here where we can see that we do have an action message, and so that shows up, and that's this here.
Yeah.
Right?
So whether your JavaScript submitted the form or whether the browser submitted the form, I think my internet connection is going bad. Or whether JavaScript submitted the form, we still get that data from the hook use action data.
Yeah, that is really slick. Let's see. So that's the sidebar, and then when we look up here, so okay, so here's the action. This is the part that, and we don't have to attach that action. We can just export it. Is your internet betraying you?
Yeah, my internet just blew up on me. I'm gonna try tethering.
Okay. Everybody give us a second while we navigate some Wi-Fi issues.
Here?
I can hear you. There you are.
I'm back?
You're back.
All right, tethering from my phone. I don't... Normally my Wi-Fi's...
Fingers crossed. Let's see.
Okay. So, we back? Am I good?
We're back. We're good. And so what I was looking at here is we've got a form, right? And this form came out of Remix. So this is a component built into Remix. And then we're exporting an action, but so we don't need to include that in the form. It just knows. Yeah.
So there's a little trick that we do in Remix.
Okay.
Actually, browsers do this. If you don't put an action attribute on your form. So here's another thing a lot of newer developers don't know. Form has a method and action. So you could put action up there equals, and that's just a URL like a link. Browsers will just default to what the current URL is. And in Remix, we'll default to this route. So if you leave off the action, then you can put a form in a route, and then it will post to the action in that route.
Got it. Okay. And so effectively what we've done then is this isn't for the form. This is for handling a post to this page.
This is your API route.
Got it. Okay. So we're just building it right in. Like for people who have used serverless functions, for example, this is, if I was writing a serverless function, I would have my form submit, I would post to that serverless function, and then this is the code I would write in my serverless function to handle the incoming posted data.
Exactly. So there's in a typical SPA, there's 3 pieces of code that you have to write.
Right.
You first have to write the form, right? Put the form on the page so you can get data from the user. Second thing you have to write is a backend API function somewhere to like deal with that post. And then the third bit of code, not in Remix, but typically in SPAs, now you have to wire up that form to the API. Remix is the server, it is the client. so it can automatically wire all of that stuff up for you. And it does it the same way the browser does. So whether JavaScript's on the page or not on the page, we still post to that route. It sends some data back, and then you can get that data from use action data and render it.
That's slick. That's really nice. And so yeah. And this is nice too. So I don't have to actually do this stuff myself anymore. Like I don't have to write out an SEO component.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll merge all the meta from every route. So in React Router and in Remix, we have this idea of nested routing, and multiple routes can be active on the page. Just think of them as layouts that are coupled to the URL.
Gotcha.
In fact, the first visual on the remix.run website kind of shows this, where you've got these nested boxes, and each one of those can export a meta, and they'll all get merged together and go into the top of the document.
Yeah, this is actually a really good visualization to show. So when we look at our page, right? So we've got the whole page, and that's this blue bit here. And then the sales dashboard, that's a nested route.
Yeah, so that's nested. So each one of those can export a meta, and the title of the child one will win. And so they can all set the title or any other meta.
And then this is connected to this tab. So you've got nested route. Oh, this is slick. This is really, really nice.
So you don't have to write layout code. You don't have to like repeat your data loading across every route. You don't have to repeat your layouts all over the place. It's just built in, because we know from building lots of websites over the years as a community that most of the time this is how it works out. Chunks of the URL match up to chunks of the UI.
Yeah, and that's what we're always doing, right? And it's kind of one of those. What I've noticed about it is that what makes this hard is that we usually have to do it all so manually. It's, we build these complex layouts, and then we want them to be uniquely addressable, and then we actually try to do that, and we get ourselves completely buried in state management of URLs and stuff, and we go, you know what, this is really hard. Maybe we just don't have this part of the UI linkable, and we just like throw our hands up and say, people will click 2 buttons to get there. It's okay. Like, and that sucks. That's such a bummer of an experience.
I'm gonna try to switch back over to Wi-Fi.
Okay. No, we're good. We're good. Let's see if we got any good questions here while everything's going. I see Jay's asking questions about form submission client side and getting answers from the chat. Thank you, Girish, for sharing the UseSubmit hook. Let's see. Very cool. This is very cool. Yeah, we've got lots of stuff going on. Also, welcome everybody. I see a lot of folks are here. Let's see, Ryan, I think you're back. Maybe? Nope. Ryan is frozen. Wait, now you're back?
All right. Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I've been working on getting hardwired in, but it's not happening.
I know the feeling. I had to switch to like all Ethernet everything now in my house. Had somebody out here drilling holes to run the bigger cable through.
I was just working on it yesterday, and I ended up ruining. So I could hardwire down in the kitchen, and so I was going to do it there. And last night I was trying to get it so I could hardwire up here in my office, and I actually busted all of it. So just kind of hosed now. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So yeah, we got that.
We're ready.
So someone had a question about what was that?
Oh, they were asking about if you wanted to programmatically control the submit, and then Girish shared the UseSubmit hook to do programmatic things.
Yeah, like if you want to submit on blur or on type or on change, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we have there's the declarative way to submit a form, and that's the form component. There's an imperative way to submit a form, and that's our UseSubmit hook. And it's the same as in React Router. You've got the link component to link somewhere. That's the declarative way. And then you've got UseNavigate, which is the imperative way. And the DOM has this too, right? You've got the href. That's the declarative way to change the URL. And then you've got window.location.href equals. That's the imperative way to do it.
Nice.
So yeah, whenever we have a declarative API, we've got an imperative one if you need to control that.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to put the right answer in?
Yes, let's put the right answer in. I had to cheat, but I know it now. So let's go here.
And let's keep the network tab open. Let's turn on JavaScript again.
Turn on JavaScript again. Okay.
Yeah. So Shift Command P or whatever OS you're on.
Okay. So let me refresh the page. All the JavaScript is back. Ta-da.
Okay. So check out what happened in the terminal or in the network tab. We did a post.
Mm-hmm.
That sent our egg, and then this time the response wasn't read. Right, we didn't send a 400. So before we were actually sending a correct response, 400. That was a bad submission.
Mm-hmm.
And then look, it did a bunch of gets. If you scroll down, we'll see more of them. There's a bunch of resources.
I see the 3 that came in.
Yeah, so those are code split bundles that we didn't have yet.
Nice.
Not only will it go and get those modules when we redirect to that place, if that had a loader, it's going to call the loader. That's the data on the page. We haven't talked about that stuff yet. I went straight to forms. And if we had multiple routes on the page that are matching, let's go back to the visual on remix.run. If we had multiple routes that are matching up there, and let's say you're looking at the invoice list,
mm-hmm.
and you deleted an invoice, maybe on that red screen. Yeah. There's a list over on the left. Shrink your do command minus on here so we can see a little bit more of the thing. Okay, so see, we got the invoice list on the left. If you deleted an invoice, Remix will automatically, after an action, refetch any data on the page. So that means that that invoice is going to disappear across the app no matter where it shows up. You don't have to funnel anything through context. You don't need a global state management tool.
Nice.
None of that kind of stuff. Remix knows that a get means read data and that a post means write data.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get a post from you, from a form, we go and process that post. We know that you probably changed some data, and there's a chance that data shows up elsewhere on the page. So we just say, all right, what's on the page? Let's go reload all of it and synchronize what our UI has with what the server has. Which
that's super handy. And that's kind of a strategy that we're seeing showing up in a handful of tools where, you know, they sort of know when an action is going to mutate something. And I like that that's just done for you, because it's the sort of thing, like, you can track it, right? Like, we're developers. This is our job. We keep track of how data changes and flows through an application. But some of it just gets so Byzantine as the app grows in complexity. So having to remember, like, oh yeah, this piece of data affects these 7 pages in odd ways. Like, it's in a sidebar, it's in the recommended reading, it's in whatever. And you forget to do that, and then your pages are out of sync, and then everything's broken and you're confused. So having the software just know to do that for you is such a power up in terms of, you know, like, I want to worry about solving problems, not about managing the inherent complexity of building anything real.
Yeah, totally. And when you turn off JavaScript, the exact same thing happens. Like, if there's no JavaScript, you submit the form goes to the server comes back with a response. And on the server, all your data is reloaded from the database and then rendered.
Right. Yeah.
So it's this idea of, we call it remix because we're like, well, a lot of this stuff used to be so simple. How can we emulate that and get that simplicity?
Right.
But we don't want to sacrifice building a modern UX, right? Like, we're not saying let's go back to just plain old forms and servers.
Yeah.
We've got all these hooks, like we saw how we would select that thing after you submit an answer, these little progressive enhancements. That's why we ditched the old way of doing it.
Right.
Was we wanted to build way better experiences for users than just submitting with the browser. So
I think that's great. And I just saw Michael just showed up in the chat. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Good to have you here. So it looks like he's going to be running chat question support, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So at this point, we kind of know the gist here. And what I like about this is you've taken something that used to work, and then we stopped doing it just the browser way because the hard part was making it feel as nice on the user side when it got to the client. And so what I like about this is you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. You're saying, no, the platform is really good at everything except this client-side thing. So why don't you just use the platform for everything except the client-side thing? And Remix makes that seamless. That feels like I like that general approach to building for the web. I think it feels right. Yeah,
Remix emulates the browser up until like now it's time to do something really cool. And then we give you the hooks, like use action data. We have one called use transition, and it gives you all the information about the transition, and you can build all the modern UX stuff that you're going for. But you get to keep that just super simple old school PHP model.
And the auto fallback, like what a tragedy that we lost that. Like being able to visit websites with JavaScript off, especially as they get really aggressive about ads and things, is like, just, hey,
well, and not just that, like right now I'm in a new community. I've got like business class Wi-Fi in my house, and it's fallen apart on me at this moment. And if you build your app with Remix and follow the conventions, the web conventions of forms and things, and then progressive enhancement, I could load up a page as soon as it shows up. Maybe JavaScript is failing, maybe it's just slow. Like the app is still generally going to work. You just don't get all the extra flair.
Well, and it's pretty cool here that if and also just looking at this, the other thing that's nice is if I go back, let's reload this page here, we get what, 20 kilobytes of JavaScript. Like that's going to load fast on any connection. That feels, that's good. That is a nice way of kind of interacting with
it. And Remix, since it renders on the server, it's going to get you that UI before any JavaScript. In fact, our little visualization shows that with the network tabs and kind of showing the difference. If you don't mind scrolling through that kind of slowly and seeing what the effect of fetching in the browser has.
So here we've got, this is the JavaScript, and then that's blocking. And then here we've got all of the bits came in, so it all kind of renders at once. And so we get different bits. Yeah, and so if I can kind of repeat back what I think this is demonstrating, it's that in an app that's built with kind of the SPA approach, you have to load each piece of the parent UI before you know which pieces of the child UI you are trying to load. And so you kind of end up in this, what you can see here with the progressive loaders. Like you start with like the whole thing is a page loading, second thing is a page loading, then we've got a subsection loading, and then a subsection loading. And like this can be a fine experience, but it's it's clearly like it would be better if you just got like, there's the UI, right? That's
the whole document all at once. Then we can load all the other things to hydrate in parallel. And Remix is still going to work even while that JavaScript is loading. The links will still work. Before JavaScript, you're just going to get the unenhanced version of that.
Yeah. You broke up a little bit, but we got the sentence at the end.
Oh my gosh, I'm killing you. Do you want me to? I could grab my laptop and go downstairs closer to my router, and it'd probably be a lot better.
I think it's up to you. We're always we can always make that switch, but I think
we got like an hour left, right?
We've got 40 minutes.
40 minutes. I'm gonna do it. Why don't you poke around the demos?
Okay. All right.
Look around the demos in your app and click around them locally, and watch the network tab, see what happens, and I will be back in a minute.
All right. That sounds good. So let's Ryan is moving computers, so let's just goof around in here and see what we can figure out. So what I want to look at is I'm going to turn JavaScript back on. Also, I feel like the pro tip of today is Command Shift P to get a command bar in the network tools. I feel like I saw somebody do that and I was like, that's amazing, I should learn how to do that, and then I never did. And so today I learned. Let's see. The sounds sometimes get weird, Nikki, so it might just be that we lost that. Okay, so let's go back here, and we've got actions. So we've got nested routes. So let's peek at these. We've got nested routes. So we're in the about page, and here is our nested route. Nice. Okay, so let's go peek at these a little bit and see how they work. So I've got the about page. Here's the index. You were looking at the index route, but there are more. Right, so here's the about page. And here's the top of it. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. I get it. I see what's happening. So we have this about page is here. And then we have an outlet. And so the outlet looks like it'll grab whatever is in the routes for this sub thing here. So like about.jsx is the actual page, and then this folder indicates that we've got sub routes. All right. And then when we go to about, it hits /about. And then inside of that, we can see this is the outlet, right? This is the index sub route. So when we go back in here, we've got index. And this content gets dropped into the outlet of about.jsx here. Nice. Okay, so that's cool. All right, Ryan's back, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, all right. Yeah, it seems like we're good. So I was just exploring the about page here and looking at the nested routes. So what I discovered is that we've got the parent page with about.jsx, and I see this outlet that's coming out of Remix. And what I've deduced by looking at this is that the outlet means if there is a subroute that matches, so a folder that matches the name of the file, it will drop whatever the subroute matching is into this spot. So by default, it hits index, and that's what shows up here. But then if we navigate to /about/whoa, then it drops in this content here. Did I understand that correctly, or am I making some leaps?
Yeah, you got it. That's right.
Yeah, this is slick. Like this.
So here's what's really cool too is when you navigate to a subroute like that, if both of them have data, Remix knows that the parent route is still going to be rendering just like it was before. And so it's not going to refetch the data for that. It's only going to fetch the data for the thing in the outlet.
That's slick. That's
so
really nice.
So we have a whole bunch of client-side data libraries and stuff that try to solve this problem differently, where they're like, all right, I'm like, what are all the queries on the page? Okay, we had a re-render. What are the same queries as last time? I'm going to pull those from the cache, and anything that's new, I'm going to go and fetch. Remix can just look at the routes and the URL, and it knows just by the URL before it even renders.
Right.
What do I need for the next page? What's different? What's new? What changed? Just like React's virtual DOM diff.
Okay.
And so we basically look at the URL, figure out what's the next thing, what do we actually need to fetch, and then we can fetch them all in parallel because we know it all from the URL.
Perfect. Okay. No, I think that sounds great. Okay. So it is 23 minutes past the hour. We've got about, say, 35 minutes to get something built.
Yeah, let's load in your Sanity.io stuff.
I am ready. I want to give this a try. So here's what I would like to do. I want to build a page that lets me post to Sanity so that I can add new entries and then like display my schedule.
All right, I guess let's first render your entries.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to create a new file and let's call this schedule.jsx. And then I'm just going to make some assumptions based on what I know about building with this style of framework, which is I'm going to export a default component. It's going to be called schedule. And if I return a div that says schedule, my guess is that this is going to do what I want. So I want to develop here. So I'm going to switch.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even done that yet.
Back to the README.
Sorry. Yeah, go to development. You're going to have two terminal tabs.
Okay. So I'm going to run. I wonder if we shipped an enhancement that should let this run with like netlify dev, but let's.
Yeah, not yet, but next release we'll have it.
Okay. So dev netlify. And then I'm going to do another one over here. We'll go into GitHub. Oops. Learn with JSON and let's learn Remix. Okay, and then I'm going to run npm run dev. Oh, it didn't like.
Oh, geez. Oh, did you do an npm install?
I thought I did. Oh, I'm using, okay. I need to use just NVM use 14 here.
Yeah,
it looks like it defaulted to 12
AWS
for
Lambda.
some reason. Let's make sure that this one's doing the same. 14. Okay, so run dev netlify, and then we'll start this one on npm run dev. Okay, so it doesn't like, oh, and it doesn't like it because I just wrote invalid JavaScript, so okay, that makes sense. All right, good. Okay, so that part worked. So let me get over to my...
Yeah, localhost 3. Oh, I don't know what the netlify...
Looks like it started...
Okay. Yes, you should go to /schedule.
/schedule.
Boom.
Okay, we got a page. Wait, so did this start? Hold on, I gotta look and see. Did this start in the... It did start on 3000. Okay, great. Okay, so here is our schedule. We got this thing up and running here.
So now we can export a loader.
Okay, so let me go up to the top. I'm gonna export, is it a const or a function?
Just name, however you want to do it. You can do export function, or you can do export const, yeah.
Okay, and is this...
Just a function, async function probably, eventually.
Async. Okay.
And then from here, this thing is going to get split out of the browser bundles and it'll only run on your server.
Got it.
But right now we could just return like some random data. So just return like an array with a empty, like just a whatever object in there.
Okay. So we know what the data is.
Sure. There you go.
And then can I just like... That just
so you're going to use a hook. We don't mess with your elements like that. That's hard to type with TypeScript. So you're going to bring in a thing from Remix called useLoaderData.
Which auto-completes for me. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then does this give me just the data, or is it like a deconstructed?
Yep. Data equals useLoaderData.
Beautiful. All right. So then we can just dump that.
The budget debugger.
It's the only one I know. And there we go. All right, boom. So now we've got loader data, and this is not, so if I like view source here.
Yeah, it's not in your bundle.
That's no
all on the server.
That's exciting because that means I can use privileged stuff in here. Like I can make a secure call without worrying about exposing it in my bundle.
Exactly.
Oof, killer.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do go to the Sanity docs on the HTTP API that I sent to you a little earlier.
So let me just really quickly link everybody to this. I manage Learn with Jason through Sanity, and so we're gonna just play with the Sanity data here. So I'm gonna go in and find this. We're gonna be using just Sanity's queries. So we've got like a query cheat sheet and some things that we need here. So
okay. Copy that first one. Yeah. Yes, right there.
Okay.
Just drop that into your URL actually in the browser, and we can kind of see all this junk.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to swap out. I don't think this is gonna work because.
It's like, oh, is that your stuff?
Yeah. So this is their demo.
Yeah,
so
that's a demo, which that's fine.
Okay, great.
And then let's get rid of the asterisk on their query.
Okay.
So go up into the URL and get rid of the asterisk, or the zero. Sorry, get rid of the zero. Keep the asterisk. Yeah. So that was one document. This is a bunch of documents. Look how big this is.
Yes.
This is huge, right?
Enormous.
But anyway, we can go and fetch this in our loader.
Okay.
So you can literally just use fetch here. So you can copy and paste that URL and return a fetch.
Just straight up?
Straight up. We polyfill fetch on the server so that you can just use it there.
Boom.
Congratulations. You just built a proxy, an HTTP proxy. You're now a backend developer.
And here's the part that I think is really magical about this is what we just did, like, you're not going to hit CORS errors with this because it's running on a server, not in the browser. You're You're not going to have to worry about if you have to send an authorization header. You don't have to figure out how to do that from the client side code, which you can't because you'll give away your secrets. Like there are so many cool things that just happen here that just work. It's really, really slick.
So what's kind of interesting here is we sent all of their headers to our app, and maybe we didn't want to do that. So usually if I'm fetching like this, I'll still go back to your code on line 5 and let's do a const response or res equals fetch, and then the typical thing that we do.
Oh yeah. Then
you can do it that way, but you can do awaits inside too. But yeah, .json.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay, I got you. So we can do that and then come back out here.
Yeah, and so now what we're doing is we're only sending our headers that we want. We didn't actually proxy everything from them. And that's what we recommend to do. Even though it's a cool trick that you can just say fetch inside of there, you probably want to unwrap it yourself.
Okay, and so now what I have really cool thing. I just got my...
Oh, you got yours in there.
I got mine, and this will actually pull all of the data.
Yeah, drop that one in there.
Okay, so now this is going to be enormous because it has transcripts for 250 episodes in it. So everybody buckle up.
So before we send it, this is one of the really cool things I want to show you is since we're not fetching this from the browser, we can control how much we actually send to the user. If you fetch this in the browser, you have no choice. You got to get that whole 800 kilobytes, 10 megabytes of JSON data, of Jason's JSON data.
Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. Oops, what was that? Okay, I'm just hitting buttons at this point. I don't know what was going on.
And then you can return.
And then we would get episodes, or I guess it would just be data at this point. Would be await response.json, but then we can return like a subset.
Yeah, so now here we can filter and map and do whatever we want here. So here we have 200 episodes. Maybe you want to like slice it first and just take the first 20, right? So we could do what is it? Results? What they call it?
I called it data.results. Slice and
slice 0, 20.
20. And then we can return the first 20.
Well, and now you can map them. So now you can map the first 20 into only what your UI wants to show.
That's a good point. Okay, so let's go look at what we actually need here. So all I really need is, let's say, the date, and let's get a title. Is it title or... Oh boy, how do I prettify this? That's what I need to do. Let's make this easier to look at. So we're gonna reload.
You can go in the network tab and click hit reload.
Should not have disabled the cache. Okay.
And then click on that, and then the preview or response or whatever, and I think it'll prettify it for you.
So much data. It's like multiple megabytes worth of data at this point. Which is, I mean, to your point, this is exactly why we shouldn't be just sending everything back. Why would I make you, the user, do a 5+ megabyte query every time?
This is why I still want a server. I still want to be able to like give my UI precisely what it needs.
How? Oh my God. Okay. 8.
Yeah. Why don't you just send the first 20 to Remix, and then we'll just console log it over there, and we'll see it. So go down into line 19 and console log your data. So this will log in both the server console, because we server render it, and in the browser console, because we client render it.
Got it. So we're here. Nope, we're here. Cannot read. I screwed something up. Okay, so it was result, not results.
Hang on, let's go back to our UI. Look at that UI in your browser, the Remix one. There was an error. Did you set up an error page, Jason?
Sure didn't.
Cannot read property size. Hey, developer, you should replace this with what you want your users to see. Remix
Nicely
automatically catches errors on the server and in the browser and sends them to the nearest route error boundary. So each route, those nested routes, they can each say, hey, here's the UI I want to see if something blows up when I'm trying to render. You didn't have any error handling code in this fetch whatsoever. So we talked about those 3 things you have to write with a form.
Yeah, I literally added a note that was like, I should probably error check this. And
you
I
didn't have to. We did. Yeah.
Okay, so it should be result, and that should actually work. So let's go back, try again.
And of course, our query, if we don't want to keep fetching form eggs, but yeah, there you go.
Okay, so then we can just grab out the title. Let's just grab the title and the date. So I'm going to map, and we'll get episode or entry, and we'll just get back the title is going to be entry title, and the date was entry.date. Cool. That should give us just a list of titles and dates, which should be way easier to look at. Boom.
There you go. And here's what's interesting. Right now, this is your local computer. But if this was out in the cloud, you bet your britches that Netlify or AWS's Lambda is going to be a faster connection to the Sanity IO to fetch that full 4 meg thing, right?
Right.
So the connections between all these servers are way faster than your user. And so, yeah, we should totally be like asking Sanity for fewer records here. But
yeah,
even though we aren't, if you're actually in production, it's going to be fast on the servers, and then we only send a small bit to the user.
Yes, I should actually. How do we limit down to just like
I think count down there or something. The cheat sheet had a.
This is the cheat sheet. Let's get count.
Slice operations.
Slice.
That sounds right.
So just 0 to. Okay, so let's just do.
Yeah, you can do like 0.20.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do 0.20, and then we can skip this part and just drop in the data, and that should make the whole thing significantly.
Yeah, we just made our server way faster, but then we still made it faster for the user by sending less.
Oop, broke it. Data. Oh, data dot result.
That's why you need TypeScript.
Yes. What did I learn? Okay, so, but yeah, I mean, look at that. That's great. This is we optimized for the browser, and I also think there's a way that I could just pick fields. First,
yeah, Sanity has a great
titles.
API, but not everybody did this for you, right? So it's nice to have a server to do it yourself.
Absolutely. Oh, this is slick. Dang, that's real. Okay, hold on. Does that really just work?
Yeah, they've got I was poking around their API this morning. It's good.
So if I just do that and then I take the map out, just gonna hold on to that in case I need it. But let's no, I broke it. What did I break?
Do you still need the star in front of that thing?
Oh, I need the type equals. So we need the type equals thingy.
Oh no, it's in between the.
Oh, I just literally broke everything is what I did.
Yeah, so you still need the star.
Okay, so I need
star, empty thing, title. Yeah, there you go. I think that's your.
That should do it. All right, we're also learning Sanity today.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Boom.
So that was really fast because we didn't query not querying that transcript is going to drastically decrease the size of the response. We could actually probably load all the episodes very quickly now because the transcripts are huge.
Yep, and Sanity is they've got caches on their servers. It's distributed, and so like you could run this up in production and you're probably going to get some pretty fast response times.
That's really, really nice. So I wonder. So the way that I would do this is we would want to get like anything that is like after today. So anything that's in the future. Let's time. Date. Do these have a date?
There's only 200. You could just.
I guess we could just filter them, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's get the date. So then we can get a today is going to be new date, and we will say schedule is going to be data.result.filter, and it'll be episode and what episode date, which we'll have to make into a date. Is this going to work? It'll be greater than today.
And then go up there and like get the first 100 episodes, or I guess all of them, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think we should be able to get all of them now because
we're
only getting that little bit of data.
I think you still need the open close thing. I don't know though.
I think this is the open close thing, and then yeah.
All right.
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Just change two things at once.
Always my first mistake. Okay, so this gave us, let's see, I think I did it. December, November 30th. We did it. We have successfully built a schedule. Could probably stand to sort these, but I don't care right now, so I'm not going to. But I mean, this is huge. We just made, like, you know, we've got server-side queries, we've got data filtering, and we're doing this in a way that's not happening on the client, which is, I think, that's a powerful way.
Yeah, let's go to root TSX in this app, and let's add a link up in the header. So just search for header in here. You'll find it somewhere, or search for link or something. Yeah. So just, right next to home, let's link to your episodes, or whatever we called this schedule. And let's open up the network tab and watch what happens when we click on that link from home.
Okay.
So I'm surprised that the live reload's not happening for you, because maybe it's the Netlify template.
I could be a lot of things. My fans are also going at full blast right now, so it could just be that my computer's having a little trouble keeping up.
All right, so clear out your network tab.
Okay, clearing it out.
And then click on schedule.
So there's our schedule.
Check that out.
And
that's all we sent. And Remix did that fetch for you in the background. You didn't have to wire up any of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's beautiful, because it just takes out so much of the work that I would be doing. And I think I still have... Oh, wait, no, I still have...
It's on, yeah. It's on. So, you could disable it if you wanted to.
I guess we could.
And it's going to be the same. And again, this isn't the point. We didn't build Remix so that, like, we quit sending JavaScript to the browser. Like, that's not the point, but it is really cool that it still works.
I mean, it's nice to know that we don't have to think about it, right? Like, because that's the part that I always feel like happens is if you make something like offline performance or accessibility or whatever into we'll deal with that at the end of the project, what you're basically saying is we're never going to deal with that. So what I like is that this just happens at the beginning, and it's very slick. That's nice.
That kind of stuff, and also error handling. That bums me out when I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen if my app throws an error. Like, what does the user see? And we've already seen here a few errors, and Remix is already just handling it for you. So you don't. The way I like to talk about it is Remix lets you focus on the happy path.
Yeah.
I don't have to put spinners in my component, on my route component. I have to check loading states. I don't have to check error states.
Yeah.
All that stuff is just handled for me.
It's really, really nice. Okay, so
what do you want to do?
I was thinking we could just set it up to actually post. So let's make ourselves a little form and see if we can post a new episode up to Sanity. So to do that, if I remember correctly, I need my form. And then down here, if I set up a form, my action is going to be a post.
Method post. Action is the URL where it goes.
That's the one that I was looking for as a method. Okay, and we're going to submit to itself.
Yep, it'll just submit to this route. We don't have to add the action in there.
Okay, and then this is just regular JSX.
It's just HTML. Yeah, just do your thing.
So let's see. It might not let me do this, but let's see if we can just do like a title, and then we'll do an input with an ID of title, a name of title.
So name, that's the piece as you're typing all talk. That's the piece that the browser will automatically serialize into the form data that goes. So name is actually critical for this to work in Remix as well.
Okay. So we'll see if we can make this work. Some of the other stuff is a little complex, like the guests are an array, and I don't want to set that up. So I'm going to see if we can just get the title to save and pull that back. And that, I think.
Yeah, you could save that and submit it, and then you'll get a message.
Okay, so let's take a look. We've got this, and then I've got one coming up. Let me peek into my what's coming folder here.
We don't have an action handler yet, so let's just hit the button and see what happens.
All right, so test. And it did nothing yet.
Oh no, that's supposed to throw an error. That's supposed to show up saying, maybe, hey, what the heck? Is your JavaScript disabled?
Looks like JavaScript is on. So let's
nothing happened.
It's also entirely possible that I didn't, like, it's not submitting either, which leads me to believe that I broke something.
There. Button type equals submit form method. That's weird. Yeah, it's not doing anything.
Let me just peek in this actions in case I missed a piece.
No, you didn't miss anything there. This should just be normal form. Go check your compiler. Did we not write correct JavaScript again? No, because it showed up.
Let's see. Yeah, it showed up. Nothing's yelling at me.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. That should normally what it says is like, hey, you tried to post to an action that doesn't have a
so I need to
a route that doesn't have an action.
So I need to add the action.
Yeah, let's go add an action.
Okay.
But it's weird that it's not even trying to submit, so I'm not sure what's.
Yeah, hopefully that's.
Let's add the action and then.
We'll see what happens here. And this was an async function as well, or it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, if we're doing async work, it'll be async.
Let's see. We're gonna submit to.
Yeah, we're gonna do a fetch, so we should start out async.
Okay, and this is gonna give me an event.
Yeah, so you're gonna get this object in here. So let's destructure stuff off of it.
Okay.
We don't actually have a name for what comes in here, and we want the request. Okay. So it's just called a request, and this is a fetch API request. It's actually built into the browser, and we put it into Remix.
Nice.
And so what you're going to do here is you're going to get the form data off. So you can do like const form data equals await request.form data. Yep. So there's request.json, there's request.text. .json is what people are used to, and then there's form data as well.
Okay. And so right now I could just like console log form data. And
then you'll want to return something out of here too. So we could just return like okay, true or something.
Does it need to be an object?
Or does that? Nope, that's fine.
Okay.
And we should be able to see something happen in the network tab if nothing happens down there.
There it goes. Okay. So it did the thing. It submitted. Yeah, so we got an okay. Good.
Our payload, if you go look at the payload, we'll see that a title came through.
There it is.
And then we logged on the server. So if you open your server terminal, the Netlify one,
ta-da!
There you go, form data.
That's slick. That's really nice. Oh, it even did the. Glad that didn't like object on me.
Yeah, well, it's a URL search params object, even though we say it's a form data. So now you should be able to get the title by saying form data.get title.
Okay.
And a lot of people say like, oh, it's crazy. I learned so much about the web when I'm doing Remix. I actually spend more time on the MDN docs than the Remix docs. This form data thing is a built-in browser concept.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this one, this is a game changer. When you start, like, it simplifies form handling in React, and anywhere you go, this works, and it's so much nicer.
Yeah, so even though we're writing back-end code right now, it's all front-end APIs. So like, yeah, I think it's cool. So at this point, what are we going to do? We're going to go.
So we need
to post to Sanity.
Yeah, we need to post to Sanity, which means I need to.
I have no idea how this works.
I don't know. I don't either. Let's see if we can do it. So I want to post.
Maybe the cheat sheet has it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just be quiet now.
Okay, we're gonna try. Are these all? These are all queries, so we don't want to query. We instead want to. Okay, so we're gonna send an auth tag. So let's set up the post first, and I think this is probably going to be relatively close to what we want. So we can say like const response equals await fetch, and then we're going to pass this in, but we want to use, I don't know, we'll check this. So I'm just using like the fetch API. This is the browser API.
Yep, but we've got it on the server, and then you'll do a headers with an object and whatever they told you to do over there.
And then it was bearer, right? Bearer, and then I've already set this in my crap, what did I call it? Oh no. Give me
learn with LWJ, I think is go.
I have it in my history back here. I just got to look at it real quick. It was echo.
I'm sitting on my son's bed, by the way, because the router is in their room in the center of the house.
Okay, hold on. I should have written this down. Please hold, everyone. Sanity LWJ token. You were absolutely right. I should have just listened to you. Okay, let me close that. Bring this back over. All right, and so now pop that in here. And then what we should be able to do is pass in a body of whatever the query needs to be, if we can figure that out. So let's see if we can
they want.
Do a doc. I want to post though. Mutate, that's what we want. So I want to mutate, post data mutate.
Here we go.
All right, so this is going to be...
I think you can probably just do a body and then do your FormData.toString or new URL search params. Anyway, you want to send it to JSON? Let's just send it as JSON.
Okay, all right.
That's what their example has. We'll do it that way.
Okay, so it's going to be slash data mutate and then dataset name, which I think is... I guess we'll just try one of the types and try the endpoint. So let's get this. Oh, dataset name, production, because you name your dataset. That's what it is. And then I need to create a document. And the document is, oh boy. All right, we can figure this out. We're going to data binary, content type is application JSON. Let's do that.
Yeah, headers. Yeah, content type.
Okay. And then if I put data in here, it's going to be...
Yeah, I think they said mutations inside of there. I think they have this root key of mutations.
Okay. Then inside I need a transaction, and the transaction is going to be...
Yeah, create. That's nice.
And that's an object. And I'm going to set up an ID.
You got some weird syntax going on there. Your mutations is an array, and then you just got this like string floating out there.
Okay, so that's
there we go.
Corrected. Yeah, I don't think we need an ID. It should auto set, but I'm going to create a type. And my type should be episode. And the title should be title. So maybe we just try this and see what happens.
You got your title from there. Okay, and so then, yeah, if this works, then you might just want to redirect right back to where you are, right? Or or send a message, whatever you want to say.
Okay, so let's assume what I want to do for now is let's just log the response down.
Okay. We got to return something from our action then.
Yes.
So you can just keep returning okay. Cool. Yeah, we got that. We already got it. 47.
Oh,
sorry.
We already got it. Okay, got it. Okay, so I need to get this out of here because I'm doing all the things wrong. There we go. Now I'm outside of my fetch request. So theoretically speaking, this will work. Assuming I remembered anything from when I think Cap from Sanity was helping me do some post stuff. So we're returning
let's console.log response await response.txt just to like just see what it is. Oh, they're probably going to give you JSON, huh? Do.json.
That would be my guess. Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so let's see what we get. That's rebuilt. And so if I come back out here, it did a post, sent back okay.
Your server terminal is going to have your console log.
It says unauthorized. I bet I need to restart.
Okay. Well, all right. You probably want to just finish this. I was going to show you a cool feature of Remix, but let's keep going.
Yeah. Let's see. We might run out of time, and it might just be that I'm not doing a good job of writing this thing because the session is not found. That's all. These are all bad things that make me believe that I'm not actually getting my
token in there correctly.
Yeah.
Let's double check their bearer syntax.
Capital bearer with the token, and then
sometimes there's like a colon after it.
Yeah, let's see. Get into Microsoft there, and the bearer token was.
I think it was right there in that example. Shows you too. Yeah, they got a authorization colon. Oh yeah, it's just bearer token. Okay.
Yeah, just does the thing, which makes me think I'm doing something wrong.
Did you spell authorization right?
Oh, who knows? I'm actually wondering if I should be. So I am supposed to post. We are supposed to go to data mutate. And I sent in authorization, bearer token, yep. Sent in my mutations. But I'm doing something. Let's just submit again and see what it does. And if this fails, yeah, it's still it's not getting my token, which means that I set that up incorrectly.
Let's do something fun then.
Okay.
So go back to your action and where it says your response, after the response where you console log it.
Mm-hmm.
Say if response.status does not equal 200.
Okay.
Throw new response. You can have an empty body in there, or you can just say unauthorized or whatever. Or what were we getting? We were getting 401.
Yeah, we're getting like a 401.
All right, say if response.status equals 401, just so we like get this one specifically.
Okay.
And then do a comma in there, and we're going to pass in. This has the same signature as your fetch, so do an object in here, and say status 401.
Okay. Do I need? And
All
I
right,
don't need to return
now go.
after a throw, right?
What's that?
I don't need to return after a throw, right?
Yeah. So what we're saying here is we can't finish this. We can't render this.
Look at it go. I mean, that's huge.
It is really huge. So in Remix, when you try to like get a record from your database or interact with an API or something like that, and you can no longer execute code because you're like, I'm not authorized to do this, or this document doesn't exist, or whatever, right? There's a bunch of reasons why you can't finish rendering this component. So in Remix, at any point, you can just throw in your loader, all code stops executing, and then we end up in this place that we call the catch boundary. So if you throw something, a response, Remix will catch it and then render the catch boundary. So once again, you can keep your happy path happy. So if you got an error, we'll catch that, render the error boundary. If you've got a client error, you throw it, we'll render it in the catch boundary.
Well, this is incredible. I feel like we could go for a long time, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface here, but
yeah, we did.
We covered so much, just the amount of things that we don't have to think about, right? So I'm very excited to keep digging in on Remix. I hope that y'all are too in the chat. But that's all the time we have for today. So if somebody wants to go deeper, where do you recommend they go next? I'm going to throw them at the quick start tutorial here. Anywhere else?
The quick start, and then I mean, that jokes app is pretty intense. If you want to like go deep, go for that. But we've documented the heck out of this so far. So the API docs over there on the left, conventions and Remix package. If you click on those, you'll see they're actually really big. We got a lot of information in them. The Remix package especially has more. And those are the two docs that you'll look at a lot. And join our Discord, and people will help you out. But yeah, you can do a ton of stuff with Remix.
That is great. And then if somebody wants to find the Discord, where do they go for that?
That's also on the Docs homepage. So if you click on Docs, and then
community,
scroll down,
here we go. So there's a Discord server here. All right, so just hit that Docs page. You're going to find everything you need there.
Pretty much.
Everybody make sure you go and give Ryan a follow on the Twitter. You can also follow Remix on Twitter if you want to keep up with updates. With that being said, I'm going to do one more shout out to our sponsors. We've had Rachel from White Coat Captioning here today doing live captioning the whole time. Thank you very much, Rachel, for being here. That is made possible through the support of Netlify, Fauna, and Auth0, all of whom kick in to make this show more accessible. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up on the show, so make sure while you're checking out the site that you go and take a look at the schedule. You can add it on Google Calendar, all those good things. We've got a ton of good stuff coming up, so make sure you go and add that to your calendar. With that, Ryan, any parting words for everyone?
Go build better websites.
I love it. All right, y'all, stay tuned. We're going to go find somebody to raid. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Ryan, for spending some time with us today. We will see you next time.